Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. To my fellow Team Fix South Africa member on local government, Sello Lediga, our Gauteng Premier Candidate, Funzi Ngobeni. Thank you to members of the media present here today, and also to South Africans who are viewing these proceedings from home, understandably with a great deal of concern, because a growing number of South Africans will be viewing these proceedings without knowing when their next drop of water will be coming. Water is a precious commodity and one that has been taken for granted in South Africa. While we have been focusing on the crisis of energy and load shedding, a water crisis has crept up on us as a country, and that water crisis threatens our national security. More and more South Africans are starting to experience water outages, and they are learning that being without water is far, far worse than being without electricity. Ask the people of the south coast of KwaZulu-Natal, who have been without water for more than 10 years, communities that I will be with this evening. Ask the people of Giyani in Nkomo village that are still waiting for the 6-year delayed Giyani water project. Ask the people of Makana in the Eastern Cape that have not had stable water supply for 11 years. We live in a constitutional democracy that guarantees South Africans both water and electricity, and yet, South Africans, we have been reduced to beggars of our own constitutional rights. For those who have not yet been affected as badly as others, consider what it means to have to buy the water you need for you and your family to be hydrated. Imagine not being able to flush toilets or clean your homes or businesses. Think about the health care of loved ones who get ill because of compromised hygiene, and see the costs of everything go up as agricultural output declines and businesses pass on their increased costs to their consumers. This is the reality we live in terms of a water crisis that faces our country and threatens to become a daily reality for more and more people. But South Africa is a water-scarce country. We receive uneven levels of rainfall across our country and an overall amount about half the global average. This reality is beyond our control. What it means is that it compounds the human failure that has taken place, that threatens the security of water across South Africa. It also means that the margins of error in South Africa are smaller than most countries in the world, and that we have to be efficient in the management of this precious commodity. Unfortunately, our ANC national government has failed to act to protect our country, and this, as you will see in a moment, has been entirely avoidable if it had not been preoccupied with the looting of our country. The problem of our water crisis must be understood in 3 parts of the water value chain. It is our bulk supply, our bulk water reticulation to municipalities, and the management of water in our municipal borders of our country. But from a national bulk supply, phase 2 of the Lesotho Highlands water project, including the Polihali Dam and transfer tunnel, is now 7 years overdue and threatens the security of the entire integrated Vaal River system, which feeds the provinces of Gauteng, Mpumalanga, the Northern Cape, and the Free State. The Department of Water and Sanitation's capacity to oversee these projects has been at the heart of the failure, with over 100 senior engineering vacancies in the department, and that speaks to what is now projected to be an 11-year delay until 2029 for the Lesotho Highlands water project, and you continue to see it with projects like the Giyani water project, a project that my colleague Sello Lediga has been involved in fighting for those communities. The majority of government water schemes, largely used for irrigation and large canal systems, are approaching 100 years old and have exceeded their useful lifespan, requiring urgent rehabilitation. New water infrastructure planning is being held back by the closing of many gauging rainfall stations around the country that are vital to measuring rainfall levels and are necessary to plan the future rollout of our water infrastructure. The failure to expand the capacity of the main arterial pipe reticulation system has resulted in the increasing demands being met with increasing pressure through these pipes. That stopgap measure only serves to decrease the longevity of the water pipe network and increase the amount of bursts and leaks in our pipes that need to be responded to. But it is also the failures of our municipalities, which are well documented and will be spoken to by my colleague Sello Lediga and our Gauteng Premier Candidate Funzi Ngobeni. And while it must be said that the widespread failure of the planning around water is at the heart of the problem, our municipalities have become the leaking bucket that can never be filled by any supply of water because of their failure to manage their water pipe network across South Africa. The approach to addressing the looming water crisis requires a coordinated approach to municipal water infrastructure. South Africa's water network will not be able to withstand increasingly serious droughts and dry weather patterns as long as municipalities are losing between 45 and 55% of their water to an increasing number of bursts and pipes in an increasingly aging water infrastructure. ActionSA in government, following these elections, will embark upon a number of measures to address this water crisis. From a national standpoint, before my colleagues speak to the provincial and municipal perspectives, it is necessary to adopt a 6-point plan. The first point is we must address the capacity crisis in the Department of Water and Sanitation. We need the very best engineers of our country, the very best project managers in our country to be at work in these departments to ensure that projects like the Lesotho Highlands project and projects like Giyani are delivered as quickly as possible so that the people who need that water receive it. We need to have in-house capacity for repair and the expansion of water infrastructure. We need to repair the bursts and leaks, but we also need to see the renewal of the water pipes and the increasing of the diameter and the bore of those pipes so that we can get more water through, decrease the pressure, and ensure the sustainability and longevity of those pipes. We need to identify leaks in our water system, and this requires the use of technology. It also requires capacity in the key departments to ensure that water leaks can be responded to without them continuing for long periods of time as more and more of our water seeps into the ground. We need to increase our water supply through ensuring projects like the Lesotho Highlands project is dealt with as quickly as possible. And we also need to address the maintenance of the dam network across South Africa, where over 93% of our water comes from just 250 dams across our country. And then finally, we need to work to reduce water demand. Until we can get to the stage where the Lesotho Highlands water project is back online, we need to educate South Africans about how valuable this commodity is. And the fact that we are receiving so much rainfall does not necessarily mean we have water in our pipes. We need to ensure that we drive down the demand for water through many mechanisms and through many initiatives in such a manner that we can use the precious commodity more sparingly. But it is precisely these solutions and others that ActionSA is committed to that has me standing before you today to say that our despair of a water crisis is not without hope. In 41 days from now, every South African will be given the greatest opportunity that our young democracy offers them to remove a government for the first time in 30 years that has produced this water crisis and put it on our doorstep. If South Africans want this crisis solved faster than the 17 years it has taken not to fix our energy crisis, they need to vote to remove the ANC on the 29th of May and vote for ActionSA so that decisive and clean government can begin the work to fix our water network. Thank you very much indeed. If I could call upon our Team Fix South Africa member for local government, Mr. Sello Lediga. As you can understand, the local government component of this problem is a massive part of the problem. It is the leaking bucket, and that solution is going to be vital to any equation. Sello?
Okay. Thank you, Michael. Good morning, everyone. My responsibility is essentially to indicate to you the magnitude of the crisis we are facing. We are meeting here in Johannesburg, and I can assure you the crisis that is being faced by the people in the Eastern Cape and Limpopo in the Free State, it's huge indeed. In the rural areas, it is particularly worse. Some of the infrastructure that's in the rural areas was actually established by the homeland governments. And if you know our history, those homelands don't even have capacity. Now you can imagine if nothing has been done by those local municipalities that are run by the ANC until now, it is really bad. I was intimately involved in the Guyana water scandal. And I can assure you, I've never seen this kind of insensitivity by the ANC government. In December 2022, President Ramaphosa himself landed in a chopper in a stadium in Guyana and promised the people that by March, you are going to get water. And if you don't get water by March, Senzo Mkunu's head will roll. I was there and I waited for the head to roll. It never rolled up to today. And as you all know, we have been told that it is going to happen. So the point I'm trying to make is that although ActionSA is present in the municipalities in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal, we have been actively involved, even in provinces where we don't have councillors, to make sure that we follow up on the crisis of water. So without much ado, I want to say to you, as ActionSA, we really have a plan as action people, and we've got our branches all over the country that know what is happening in those municipalities that are failing. And I must assure you, one big thing is that you go to a rural municipality where the director a technical director is not an engineer, but a big graduate who happens to be a senior candidate in the African National Congress. So you can actually understand the magnitude of what we are going to do. So we can only tell you that we will do our best to ensure that we know what is happening in those local municipalities. We will be planning for the 2026 local government elections, and I think we'll have more time to talk about what is happening in all those municipalities. So thank you very much. Let our people get the water and live well. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Sello Lediga. Thank you, National Chair, Team Fix South Africa member as well, responsible for infrastructure. The province of Gauteng has a massive threat of a total collapse of the water supply hanging over its head. The province is a leading contributor to the country's gross domestic product, with its metros being the economic basket of the country. It is for this reason that the water crisis facing the province must be resolved with urgency to evade the economic consequences that are imminent and detrimental not only to the province, but for the entire country's economy. The province's water issues are as a result of various factors, including the decay of the water infrastructure over the years, the rising water demand, as Michael has already indicated, the lack of maintenance of water infrastructure across the province, repeated infrastructure breakdowns, load shedding, and the ruling party's lack of oversight. I mentioned the ruling party's lack of foresight as well because, just like in the case with Eskom, had it appreciated the importance of ongoing maintenance and expansion of water supply infrastructure, the province will not be having the massive threat hanging over its head. But where exactly is the problem located in the water distribution supply chain? One will ask. The reality is that most of our water challenges occur at the final water distribution stages, that is within the control of the municipalities. These include poor infrastructure maintenance, leaking pipes, slow turnaround time in repairing leaks and other services, and the inefficient water or the use of water. This places the bulk of the blame as it relates to our water crisis in the hands of our local authorities. In my efforts in trying to understand the extent of the water challenges, I met with the rainwater management who took me through every detail of the province water supply chain. That was last year in October. For example, what I got to learn is that according to the No Drop report, as Michael has already indicated, Gauteng loses 42% of its water to what is known as non-revenue water. The international norm to lose this water is 15%. We are losing close to about 42% as the municipalities here in Gauteng. Non-revenue water is water that municipalities pay for, but do not collect revenue on. The major contributor to non-revenue water is largely composed of physical losses, which is about 33%. This is due to, among other things, pipe leaks, bursts, reservoir overflows, and illegal connections. Think about this. Between 2010 and 2021, the percentage of non-revenue water across the province grew by 6.6% from 35.8% to 42.4%. This means close to half of the water that our municipalities in Gauteng are buying from rainwater actually get lost and no revenue is made out of it. Without a doubt, this is unsustainable and should be tackled with urgency to arrest these tripping problems. Take, for example, the issue of burst and leaking pipes. The 3 metros ought to improve their turnaround time in repairing burst pipes. Municipalities and their water utilities, like Joburg Water, must invest in their response capacity and ensure that technicians are always on standby to attend to burst pipes and leaks. Leaks must be understood as a loss and be treated with the seriousness that it deserves. Over 70% of the water distribution throughout Gauteng by rainwater is consumed in our metros. This makes sense that since most of the province industries and big businesses districts are in these metros. But also it means most of the water losses happen in the metros, and therefore metros must be the bigger stakeholder in arresting the loss of water. The other contributing factor to the non-revenue water is the overflow that happens at the reservoirs. This speaks to inefficiencies at the level of local authorities. Just last year in March, Joburg Water lost thousands of liters of water in Yeoville. And this was during what was planned maintenance and which actually went wrong because during the time when they were doing this, they lost quite a lot of water because of overflows. And that resulted in residents in Bertrams, in Yeoville, in Bezethen Holt, were left without water for weeks. Illegal connection and wasteful use of water speaks also to lack of or poor bylaw enforcement. Again, this is within the control of municipalities, and we need to make sure that the rule of law is enforced by using these bylaws. We cannot have a makeshift car washes across the cities fetching water from leaking manholes, and we do nothing about it as municipalities. Municipal law enforcement must intervene in policing wastewater in municipalities and be able to stop all these illegalities that are happening. Ultimately, the reality is that these challenges with water in the province points to the lack of effective leadership in government and in all its institutions. The lack of foresight to maintain the water infrastructure is the same lack of foresight that led to the collapse of Eskom power grid. This is why we are saying to residents of Gauteng that they must remember that when they go out to vote, they have the power to change the status quo and remove the incompetent ANC from power in 2024. We all must heed the call and get to the voting stations on the 29th of May and set the province of Gauteng to a new growth trajectory. I thank you.
All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That obviously does draw the press conference to a close. We are happy and available to take any interviews on the sidelines. Thank you very much.